Hello and welcome up to another Scale Up Stories. I'm Ben. It's good to have you with us. And if you're watching this right now across the Digital Beans social media channels, make sure you come over and subscribe to our podcast. You can catch up with the ongoings here at Digital Beans, whilst also checking out the story of Sian Holt from Fudge Kitchen, who was on Scale Up Stories last week. All you've got to do is go to your podcast providers, search Scale Up Diaries, and you can check out some of our podcasts and the Scale Up Stories that we have available for you from past episodes as well. But this week, brand new, we have got Nimisha Raja, who is the founder of Nims Fruit Crisps. Nimisha, thank you for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me on. It's good to speak to you again.
Yes, last time we spoke was in the middle of lockdown, wasn't it? So has much changed since we last spoke? What's happened in the months gone by? I suppose it's been 4 or 5 months now, isn't it?
Yes, I think, well, it's been, for us as a business, things haven't changed because we've kept going. So I haven't felt, I have to say, the full force of the lockdown. I think, as most entrepreneurs and business owners would say, we spend all our time in the business, not have much of a social life. So I haven't suffered much, but obviously I know what's going on, and it's not brilliant, is it? I think business is improving in general, with bars having opened fully for a little while, and pubs and things, but no, things here are as usual, busy and hectic.
Well, good to hear you're busy. Good to see you with a smile on your face as well, as always. And if you're listening to Scale Up Stories for the first time, on this show, I talk to business owners from around the Southeast and then a little bit how some of the well-known businesses locally have got to where they are today. And that includes digging into their founders' stories. And that's the same with what we're going to do today with Nimisha. So I think we should start really when it comes to Nims Fruit Crisps, Nimisha. For someone out there who doesn't know what you guys do and who you are, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
So we're manufacturers of air-dried fruit and vegetable products. I was going to say crisps, but that was where we started, but we've moved on quite a bit since then. So although we're known as the one ingredient crisp company, we do a lot more than crisps now, which is brilliant, which keeps us interested and motivated and innovating. Everything we make, we process ourselves here in Kent, in Sittingbourne. About 60 to 70% of the produce we buy, like apples and beetroot and parsnip, most of it comes from the UK, if not from Kent. And then we buy things like pineapple and melons, etc. Obviously, we import those in until we can find a farmer to grow them here in Kent. That would be nice. So we make things like crisps, we make infusions, we have a range of edible teas, and we do everything from start to finish.
Just listening to what you were saying there, you've got a huge emphasis on supporting local by the sounds of that. And the fact that you are a Kent business sounds quite important to you. How important is that for you and your business?
Oh, I'm a Londoner. I grew up in London. I still live in London, albeit sort of Bromley way, which is sort of Kent. Coming to Kent has been quite an eye-opening. I used to have businesses in London. I never felt as much part of a community as I've done since coming to Kent. It's been absolutely incredible. There's such a great food manufacturing community, manufacturing in general. And then I've got associated with Produced in Kent, who've been brilliant, especially when I first got here and didn't know anybody and didn't know anything around here. Kent also, I think Kent County Council, they offer a lot of grants to businesses, which I've taken advantage of. I work with the Kent export team as well. So really, really involved with the local community, and I love it. I think it's a fantastic community and very, very supportive, actually.
It is indeed. And of course, when it comes to our community, I like to think as well within Kent, there's a lot of business owners who think outside the box, and you are definitely one of them. I mean, you mentioned there in your opening statement when you were telling us a bit about Nims Fruit Crisps, a little bit about innovation and the innovative way that you manufacture your products. Now, from our previous conversations on different podcasts that we've done, I get a sense that you have a real passion for innovation. So tell us, where did that passion first come from?
Do you know, I don't know where the passion came from, but what I always felt, I think even from my first business, which was a dry cleaning business, I mean, that came about because I saw an empty shop and I always wanted to be in business. And I was about 20, 21 then. And I thought, oh, there's an empty shop. I want to do something. And I thought, well, what? And then so you look at the row of shops and you think, there's no dry cleaners there. That's what the area needs. And so I learned about dry cleaning and opened a dry cleaning shop. So for me, I think it's always been about doing it my way, maybe. So I didn't want to just buy a dry cleaners, or I didn't want to just go into business to buy a business. I wanted to create. So maybe it's more creativity than having a business, but it's doing something that nobody else is doing. I think that's what's important to me, or doing it differently, or if they are doing it. So I think that's where the passion comes from.
I never knew that you started off with a dry cleaners, with a shop front like that. I was reading through your story and I didn't see that. So how did this journey start for you? How did Nim's Fruit Crisp start for you? And maybe a little bit of a background around how your journey in business started up and happened.
So I think from the dry cleaning business, I ended up having about 5 of them, and a factory where we centralized all the cleaning. Then again, another premises came up, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting place to open a business. What would that be? Oh, a wine bar. Okay, let's open a wine bar. So that's what I did next. And I don't even drink very much, actually, so I don't know what I was doing running a wine bar, but it was okay, and it did well. And then I became pregnant with my daughter and couldn't work nights, so I had to find another business that would work around me being a single mother and looking after my daughter and spending time with her. And another shop came up, and I thought, oh, coffee shop, and it was opposite a school. And that's where really Nim started from there, because it was opposite a school, we used to have a lot of parents and children coming in, and there's always the battle of fruit and crisps and what should we have, and healthy snacking. And I just wanted to have healthy snacks that I could sell in the shop, and there really wasn't very much. I think the nearest thing we got was an Eat Natural bar, and in those days actually it wasn't particularly healthy. Although it was deemed healthy, it wasn't when you looked at the ingredients. And so that's where I started to look for ways to make healthy snacks. And I always had this image of fruit and crisps being fought over, the mother shoving an apple in the child's hand, and the child wanting crisps. And I thought, if you could marry the two, you would please both. And children, I think if you just say to children, here, have a packet of crisps, that's it. The word crisp is what does it for them. It's not have an apple crisp, it's have a packet of crisps. So that's where it started. The idea came from that, really.
I love that that's where the idea came from, though, because as a parent as well, I can completely emphasize. Emphasize. I completely get it. I completely get it. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't know why. Why can I pronounce the middle? It's the middle section of that word and not the start of it. Like, I don't know what that's about. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting, like you're saying there, because as a parent, and I've currently got a really fussy 2-year-old. And we're always trying to find inventive ways to make her eat the right things. And it's like you say there, a crisp is a crisp to a child. You don't need to go into any more detail than that. So I think like what you say there is completely right, that you need to find something. It needs to have a fun element to it. It needs to be quite funky to make sure the child understands that what they're eating is actually good for them, right? And also, it's as us as parents, we feel better them eating something more healthy, right?
And I think that was as much part of it, because I was a mother then, and I had a daughter who was quite young, and it was really important. I didn't buy sort of tins of baby food. I made everything. But it was really important that what she ate was healthy. And also a lot of brands or a lot of products that were aimed at children weren't actually healthy, or they always said no nasties, but actually there was no goodness left in them either. So one of my aims with the crisp was to see how we can make them still one of your 5 a day, you're still getting some nutrition, or as close to a fresh fruit as you can possibly get, I think. Hence making them with the skin on, so we don't peel anything, we don't core the apples. The only thing we do peel is pineapple. Mind you, we did try making pineapple crisps with the skin on, but that wasn't very kind to the throat. So, but yeah, so it's keeping them as nutritious as possible, and in turn also it's very sustainable, although sustainability wasn't really high on the agenda at that time, which was a long time ago. But as it turns out, they are very sustainable too. So we're not wasting anything.
So you had this amazing idea. You've got an innovative, creative mindset as well. You come out of, as you say, you owned obviously a wine bar, but also before that you had a very, by the sounds of it, and I don't want to second guess you, actually a quite successful dry cleaning business where you managed to franchise out and get other shop fronts or storefronts in different places, and you know you were doing okay. And I'd just like to know how it sort of felt taking that leap to doing something else, because Nin's Fruit Crisps is very different to the other businesses that you've pioneered and founded in the past. So can you remember back to when obviously you had to make changes for your family and change around your work schedule to your family, which is obviously completely understandable, but then to go, right, you know what, you know, I'm good at owning a business, I've got the ideas, I'm going to go and do this for Nin's Fruit Crisps. Can you remember how you felt starting that journey?
Very uncertain, because I'd never been in sort of proper food manufacturing. I mean, what I did was had a shop where people came to me and I sold them things that hopefully they liked. What you're doing now is creating something behind closed doors and waiting for people to find you. And that's just that on its own is actually quite scary. It's a huge turnaround. But the most challenging thing was actually making the crisps on a higher level, on a larger scale. I always knew from the beginning, you know, when I started in my garage and sort of working from there and going to local shops and handing them out sort of free, a tray of crisps and saying, would you try selling those? And let me know if they sell. And that was really a business exercise to see if people liked them, if there was a business for this, if there was any kind of future for this product. And when I found out there was, that's when the challenges really began, because I realized quite early on this had to be a volume business, because if it wasn't, I'd be charging £2 a packet of crisps, which nobody's going to buy, and which defeats the whole object of why I did it, which is for children to have them every day. You know, I didn't want it to be an expensive product, and healthy products usually tend to be quite expensive as well. So the challenging bit was finding how to upscale. And I met some people who'd worked at some large companies in manufacturing who gave me the advice that nobody makes it themselves, everybody contracts everything out. So I followed that sort of advice. And of course, that didn't work because nobody was making fruit crisps. It was an innovative idea. Having said that, I did find somebody in Eastern Europe who were making it for me for a little while. It didn't work. The products weren't brilliant. There was no consistency. And at that point was when I really had to decide, do I want to continue with this? Because I knew the next bit was going to be the biggest challenge of my life and the biggest risk, I guess, because it meant I had to open a factory and run it myself. But opening a factory is a huge investment. And where was I going to get the money for that? So I found an investor, but I also had to sell my home that I'd worked all my life for, my dream home that I had with my daughter. And that's what we did. But sometimes you have to go the whole hog, really, if you want to get somewhere.
Was that a big turning point for you? Just the end of it, you mentioned you found a factory that was providing you a product, but you weren't happy with it. It wasn't where you wanted to be. Then when you invested in the factory and took things into your own hands, is that when this, you know, this really changed the business? And that's when you started to see the successes that you're getting now?
Well, yeah, I mean, some people ask me how long has the business been going, and it's a bit difficult for me sometimes to say, because actually I started in my kitchen, in my shed, in my garage. You know, that was a long time ago, but it was part-time, it was practicing, it was learning. But yes, I believe it's when I opened the factory about 5 years ago, that's when the business really started and started putting me on the map, I guess. What's really helped is having an incredible PR guy. I work with Russ Coburn of a PR company that I met him right at the beginning, in fact, and that was to do with Kent County Council. He was doing some PR work for Kent, and we had an opening party, and it was to do with a grant. Anyway, he did a piece on the opening of the factory, and we got on really well, and he's done some amazing work to put Nims into the trade press, which has helped a huge amount, actually. So I think we haven't spent loads and loads of money on marketing at all, or advertising. It's been fairly organic, but most of it has come from PR, I think. But yes, the business really started when we started making it ourselves and we had total control.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always amazing when a business has a fantastic backstory like you have with it. And I think also when an owner is such a pioneer in their own right, which if you don't mind me saying, Nimisha, you would never say this, but you are in terms of the way you go and do things and your vision for the business. I think it's important that that message is out there. And I think you, as you mentioned, PR is a big part of that. But then also, you know, for you guys, the world's changing slightly, isn't it? So just quickly for people watching now, is that your main business channel? Is it wholesale? Is it getting into shops and people buying your products in shops?
No, it's supermarkets to get volume. And I know a lot of startups have this mindset that, oh, don't work with supermarkets. They're not the right, you know, they just take everything from you and they all take. But I knew that to get volume, I had to be in supermarkets. And actually, I think things have changed, and maybe supermarkets were like that before I came on the scene. Not that I changed it, but it was just fortuitous that when I came, I think a lot had gone on regulatory wise previously. And supermarkets are, I think, really, really fantastic. I haven't had a single problem working with a buyer. I think also is to remember they are there to make money. They're not a charitable organization. You're here to make money, so are they. And it's finding a way that you can work together. And if what you're giving them is what they want, I think they appreciate honesty. They don't like heavy sales pitch. And I think just being yourself, and maybe that's what does it. You know, we're trying to be as transparent as our products are, as our packaging is in what we do. But no, supermarkets are where we're mostly sort of end online as well, of course. But now we've moved into the infusions. We're doing a lot more with pubs and bars. We work with the Craft Gin Club, which is, you may know, is the biggest and the most amazing, you know, subscription company that there ever's been. I think they were on Dragon's Den and got lots of investment, and they've grown tremendously, and I love working with them. We've worked with them for almost 2 years now, so they've really helped us grow, and we've grown with them, I guess.
That's amazing. And you do some collaboration, which is also amazing on that point, because I think it's great that independent businesses can come together to create different things, whether that's a hamper or something that they know their end user and their clients, or sorry, not clients, but customers would love. I think it's great to see that collaboration. And you mentioned there, so supermarkets, and you mentioned there a little bit about e-commerce. So how does e-commerce work for you? How does online work for you? Is there a certain order value that people must go over? Because obviously we're not looking at, you know, a packet of crisps costing £6.50 here. So how do you work that e-commerce climate so it suits you guys?
We're not fantastic. Well, we haven't been amazing at e-commerce at all until lockdown. We tried working with Amazon. We did work with Amazon, sort of selling to them, and they then go selling it through Prime. But they were so difficult to work with for a while. When you're a small business, you've got a limited amount of time. And you mentioned collaborations. I wish I could do a lot more. Half of it is not having enough time to make the contacts and actually follow through on when you meet them at trade shows. So we must do something together. And then to follow through on that, we don't always do that, which is a shame. But I think most business owners understand that it's a precious of time. But online has been, I think, yes, on our website, we sell them. We don't make a huge amount of profit. It's about getting the products out there. One thing I learned, you know, people always say, oh, it's great that it's such a great innovation. It's something new. And that's what I thought. Oh, so everybody will want it because it's lovely and it's new and it's different. But no, when it's that different, when you say it's an apple crisp, I remember we're being at trade shows and saying to people, would you like to try a fruit crisp? And people just didn't know what fruit crisps were. And I remember one guy saying we had mixed pineapple and mango crisps in a pack. And we had all the crisps laid out on a tray. And he saw the pack on the side and thought, oh, there's a mango and pineapple crisp. And he looked at all the crisps laid out and he said, which one is pineapple and mango? And I just sort of looked at him, what do you mean, which one? And that's when sort of the ball dropped, that penny dropped, was people believe this is an extruded manufactured snack which has been flavored with pineapple and mango. And it just made me, on the one hand, the penny dropped, and I knew then what my problem was in terms of marketing, is getting the product out there and getting people to understand what the product is. But I also found it really sad that we're so used to having everything artificially flavored and made that we can't get a simple concept of an apple sliced and dried until crispy as an apple crisp, that we believe there's a lot more to it than that. And so being innovative is great, but you then need to follow through with how you're going to get the message across to consumers as to what the products are. And that was one of the questions that buyers always had. They all love the products. They said it's great, but how is a consumer going to walk into a Tesco store, look at that and know exactly what it is? And that's where packaging comes in. And we've had so many versions of packaging, and we keep changing the messages till we get it right, hopefully at some point.
Yeah, and it is a journey, especially when you go into digital, because you're talking about an element there of someone trying your crisps. They can't do that if they're ordering it online. So how do you get that education across to someone through a product page? Sian Holt was having the same conversation the other day. It's so much easier if you've got a different flavor which you're potentially experimenting with. You can't just put it online and put it up for sale, because people want to try it first, and you can't have that. Like, you can't do. We were talking about the Avon catalogs back in the day. Do you remember how inventive Scratch and Sniff was?
Oh my goodness.
And stuff. Like, you can't do that online. There's ways to do it. So it's very interesting.
I know Sian very. I know Sian very well. Actually, we've worked together, again, part of the Kent community, and she's wonderful, and she works so hard and has done amazing. And her fudge has to be pretty much the best around, surely. Have you tried some of her fudge?
Yeah, so Sian sent me some after the show last week, and we've literally had half an hour in the office this morning of the whole team, like, literally congressing around the fudge and eating it all. It was quite a scene. So there's no pressure on you here, Nimisha, but that has to be the scene next week with a bowl of Nim Street crisps.
No, obviously, I got the message. I got the message straight away. It will be all behind you. Be crunching away through your next interview, I hope.
Yes, definitely. And I think this is what's great, and I think this is what's brilliant about businesses, is we thrive off each other and we learn off of each other, which I think is quite remarkable. And obviously video has a big say now in terms of educating people and appearing on camera and sort of explaining your products or giving out a message to do with your product. So I'm just interested to know how has your business evolved, do you think, over the past, let's say, 5 to 10 years? I mean, we mentioned about, the fact that you have an e-commerce store on your site. You mentioned there about, PR and you haven't invested much in potentially digital marketing. But are you seeing for the future that you might have to embrace digital a little bit more, or are you positioned in a place which you're happy with at the moment?
No, not at all happy with. It's one of the things, I think we do a lot of things really, really well. So, our factory runs like clockwork. We have great certifications. We work with the likes of Marks and Spencer's, making products for them is a huge pat on the back. And we recently won the Queen's Award for Innovation. So we're great at, when it comes to products and innovating and making, fantastic. What I know we haven't been as good as we could be is the marketing side. And that's more to do with, actually, I have tried on several occasions, and you being in marketing, I'm sure you know that there are a lot of people out there who promise the earth. They want to charge a lot of money. And when you're a small business like us, and especially when we're starting off and you don't have a lot of money, you just don't know who. And I have spent thousands and thousands working with the wrong people who actually don't even get what the product is about. And I've worked, they sort of, I remember, I think one company I worked with, and they said, I think it was about 4 weeks into working with them, and they said, is there any oil in your crisp? I just thought, if after 4 weeks of working with me, you don't know that this is one ingredient. It was just, it's those kind of things, and you enter into these sort of 2, 3, 4, 5 month contracts with people, and so really it's been more bad experience than anything else that stopped me from doing it. So maybe meeting somebody like you is what I need. But I think digital is where we need to go, and that's certainly it. For the first time, we've got a marketing person starting almost full-time in-house, who hopefully is going to be successful at getting our social media up to par. We have done a couple of sort of videos. We've worked with somebody making videos, animated videos, which I'm hoping will help a lot. But no, digital, I think you have to go, especially at the moment in lockdown where people are not going out. It is the way to go, and something we're looking into for the next 12 months.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that, Nimisha, about in terms of bad experiences. I mean, I had a recent experience on the other side of the fence with a client who was promising us all the money for us to go and spend in terms of, elevating their business. We then done an audit on their website and done an audit of their business and said, well, actually, if you want us to actually get you and maximize your budget and get you great results, we need to have a look at A, B, C, and D before we spend your money. And their response to me was sort of like, well, no, I don't want to invest that. I just want to spend money in this. And it was like, well, we're doing our best to embrace your business and to try and find a way to elevate you and make a big impact. But actually, you need to make sure that your platform or your business is ready to convert the leads that we're going to bring into you for that amount of money. And if you're not there yet, then there's no point in us spending your thousands of pounds because you're never going to see the return. So I think it's very important for SMEs and agencies. And actually what you just said there, Nimisha, is bang on the money, that they don't just find people who are good at what they do, but they find people they can trust, and they find people who actually from moment one set where that bar needs to be, not just because it's not just as easy anymore as just running some ads. It just isn't. You've got to be able to convert them with the website. You've got to be able to portray the story to get the best return. And of course, then when you do start to see the revenue coming in for the money that you spend, I think it's massively important that A, your customer service is ready to deal with that impact, and B, the scalability is there as a business. And I think that's sort of where we started to reposition ourselves a little bit, because obviously coming out of COVID, as you well know, Nimisha, there's been a big spike when it comes to e-commerce. For some businesses, but now it's the impact of that and how we continue with that at a scalable rate for businesses, and that's very important, of course, as well, to business owners, right?
And it's lovely to hear your side of the story as well, where we businesses have problems with hiring the right people. You, I'm sure, have a problem with trying to get your message and your communication ideas over to people and accept. And I think, yes, trust is, I work with Russ from Cucumber PR. I've been with him from day one, and he's just amazing. That's for trade press. We've had consumer press where I've gone through a few companies that just haven't worked, just don't get us. We've got a packaging designer, Phil Parkinson from Who Dares Design, who's been with me from day one, since I started the factory. And he's absolutely amazing. Why? Because he gets us. He understands what we're about. And he doesn't say there's 3 designs here, pick one and that's it. No, it's a collaborative effort. It's my input, his ideas, his skills. And so there are a lot of people we work with for a long, long time. And then certain aspects, we sort of keep looking for the right people. We haven't just got to the marketing side of it, where we feel we're with a company that truly gets us, understands and can work within our budget so that you grow. And that's the point.
Oh, yeah.
Come in with a sort of forward-looking attitude.
Yeah, 100%, Nimisha. We lost your sign in there, but then you came back in, so I think we grasped what you were saying there. And I think also, just on that, did you say Russell, your PR guy's name is? I don't want to name check him.
Russ, Russ Clover.
Well, obviously, everyone has a management fee. Of course they do. We have a management fee. All of our clients pay us for doing the work we do for them. But I think when it comes down to it, and like you were saying there, if you're going to pay someone to spend your money, you're going to want them to make an impact on your business. If you're just paying someone to spend your money, you're not getting any sort of impact from that. Your business isn't profiting from that. So you could get anyone to spend your money for you, but what you want someone to do, you want to pay someone to make an impact on your business, which is important. And just quickly on making an impact, Nimisha, because we are about 30 minutes in now, and I really want to hit on this. As a business, you're doing amazing things, and you as a founder of the business is doing amazing things. You won the Queen's Award for Innovation, as we've just spoken about, which is a remarkable achievement for obviously someone like yourself who strives for your company to be around being innovative in the way that you produce your product. So quickly tell us a little bit about the Queen's Award and that recognition that you received, because I think it's really important that people know about this.
Well, I think the Queen's Award, we've entered quite a few competitions. We've won amazing awards from Kent as well, Kent from Produced in Kent. For innovation, we've won quite a few, in fact, from food manufacturer. But to get the Queen's was at our stage and where we are was just, I can't tell you what it meant to me. But we didn't even know really much about the Queen's Award. We met somebody at a networking event in Kent, and they said, I was just talking to her and who she was really. And I said, so what do you do? And she said, well, actually, I head up the Queen's Awards for Kent. And so she said, you should enter, So I said, no, we're too small, we're not really no. And she said, no, you should. And we won. And I was just, well, not why it's an award do you get, but to know that we're one of very few over the last, whatever, 30, 40 years that it's been going to have won this kind of an award is just amazing. And the recognition that, and it's recognized around the world. And I highly recommend people entering that. I think if you're doing something different, and it's not just about innovation, it's about business growth, it's about export, all sorts of things. And there are great people to work with. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into preparing all of this, but it's worth it to get the recognition. You know, it gives a team. I mean, you know, talking to our production team, telling them we won this award. Having said that, I was, of course, looking forward to going to Buckingham Palace and meeting the Queen. I'm still waiting. The palace is on lockdown, and I can't. We haven't got the award, but and then I found out the Queen doesn't even award it anymore, and I love the Queen. Oh, no. I think she's amazing, and I wanted to meet her, and I'm never going to meet her now, so I'm really sad about that. But never mind.
That's not true, Nimisha. That's not true, because I think after the Queen's Award, the next recognition, as you continue to innovate and the business continues to grow, it's got to be Nimisha Raja MBE, right? For services to innovation of small businesses, isn't it? And then that's when you meet the Queen.
Don't give me yet another goal to reach. My goodness me. No, that's one. Okay. That's it. There you go. I like the challenge. Thank you.
I think that's brilliant. I love that. And you've got to strive. And I think, like you say there, innovation is such an important part for you in business, and loads of people can learn from you and your story. And hitting on that sort of like future goals, where's next for Nim's Fruit, Chris? We've mentioned a little bit in improvement on digital there, on your digital outlook. Where do you go next? Because is it just a case of more product, learning more, and sort of improving that sort of end user experience when it comes to your customers?
I think, yes, so we're not just about snacks anymore. My passion, as I said, is innovating and creating new products. And we've got 2 or 3 products which I think are going to be absolutely amazing and really, really, I think they'll do really well. I can't say too much right now, but I think the thing is to concentrate on growth. I mentioned to you, Offset, you know, about growing. This year, we had planned to double sales. We launched with M&S in March, which was 2 days before, I think, lockdown. I mean, and of course, M&S is food on the move. Our products are food on the move. And it just didn't happen. And we're pretty much level to last year, or maybe a little bit better than last year. But it's to concentrate on growth. And I know that in this world at the moment, the way to do it is marketing and digital. And that's what we're doing. So we're talking to some really good sort of investors at the moment to help me. I'm good at what I do, and I've done everything that I can, and I do it well. What I'm not sure and how to do is to take it to the next step. And if I was 20, 25, 30, it would be a different story. But given, you know, the age I am, I want to accelerate much faster. So I need people who know what they're doing to help me do that. And it's getting the right sort of help. I think we're very much a bottom heavy company. Every decision from who does the marketing to, you know, has the rubbish been collected today is mine in the end. And, you know, and it's all the responsibility comes down to me. So I need a bit of help in growing. That's the stage we're at.
Do you know what's really interesting, though, what you said there, Nimisha, about sort of needing someone sort of younger and fresher, so to speak, or if you were 25 to 30 or whatever, then you'd have a better understanding. I think the best understanding of digital you can have is the ambition to do it. If you've got the ambition to do it and you've got the drive to use it as a concrete funnel for your business to actually work for you, I think actually you're on the path for it happening and for it to be a success, because you're willing to listen to that side. You know, again, I can't dive into people, but the amount of calls we get as an agency, and it's like, oh, I've got £300 to spend, can you make my business massive? And it's like, well, okay, you know, let's have a look at your business, and let's talk. But these are people who don't know the capabilities of digital and actually are just seeing it as so to speak, a money spinner, or as a not an investment, as a cost. And digital isn't that. Digital is an investment, an element that can actually drive your business forward. And I think the fact that you've got that now, you're having a look at someone in-house who can help you drive organic, and then you're looking for someone's help on the other point of view of whoever that is. Obviously, we at some point will have a chat. We always chat about digital, myself and you.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're there to help, and there's a number of other people out there who are also very, very knowledgeable. I think you've got it on. As I would say, you've got it on lockdown, Nimisha. I think it's going to get there, and it's, as you say, it's getting this year out the way a little bit, and then going. Again.
But I always see, you know, everything happens. My mother has always taught me everything happens for the best. And as awful as this year has been, it has taught me and made me realize and understand how important marketing is going to, or at least I took time out to think about what marketing means for me and the business. And I've realized that where I spend money on somebody coming in, trying to do some online sales or doing this or that, no, actually, if I did it, because the thing is, not enough people know about us. And how am I going to get people to know about us? Let me see. You know, either I can send you out knocking on doors, telling people, or you can do something amazing and get some marketing done. You know, I've even looked at advertising to see. You do? Will you do that?
Yeah, I'm quite cheap, to be fair. So if you need me to go and do that, I can go and leave the tin. You know, all the old means of marketing. Nimisha, this has been brilliant. It's been great chatting about Ninja Chris a little bit more. And it's always great catching up with you and hearing about your plans and your story as well. Where can people find out a little bit more about you, and where can they go and get their hands on your tasty produce?
So nimsfruitcrisps.com, also Nimsfruit Crisps on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're sold in Tesco, but online, I think, go online. We're now getting more and more prolific, and I want to see how well we're doing on opening all our online stores. We've even just opened our online store on Amazon as well. But if you're in M&S, pick up their fruit crisps. That's the same as ours. They were amazing. They were fantastic to work with, actually. I loved working with M&S for about 8-9 months. It was a bit scary. But yeah. We're all over the place, but go online, and that's the best place to make sure we'll deliver. We dispatch all the orders out the same day, so they'll be with you pretty much the next day.
Nimisha, thank you very much. It's been amazing having your Scale Up stories. Guys, if you're listening to this in podcast form, make sure you hit that subscribe button on our podcast. You'll hear our Scale Up diaries with myself and Pip talking about digital beans and what we're doing on a day-to-day basis to scale our company. And you'll hear the Scale Up stories of other business owners in the Southeast on how they've scaled and how they've grown their company over the years from day dot. I'm out of here. We'll be back with more podcasts very, very soon. Make sure you hit like as well and follow our Digital Beans LinkedIn page. Thank you, Nimisha.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you. And wait for